What's up, everybody? This is Josh E. Red from Practical Theism, doing a quick reflection before I go into work this morning. It is Good Friday. We're almost there, guys. Easter is coming up. And today, just wanted to reflect a few thoughts on the cross. Today is the day we celebrate. Sounds like a conundrum, right? We celebrate that Jesus died. Jesus died for our sins. Why is that a cause for celebration? Jesus, the Son of God, God Himself, God incarnate, God came down into all of our human dysfunction and entered into our space in a way that many were not expecting. A lot of the Israelites were expecting this brash warrior king to come in and to slay all their enemies, right? In a very, very temporal sense. But what does God do? He sneaks behind the scenes, if you will. He stays behind the stage and comes into our space in a way that's most unexpected, coming in through a manger as a baby. And throughout all His life, we've been kind of going over this Lenten journey together. He grows and shows that just who He is. Now, why was the resurrection necessary? This is something that always puzzles people. It puzzles me sometimes. It's a question that's commonly asked, and Christian theology has been battled up and down the centuries with it. And Christianity, and the church teaches that you have to believe for sure that the cross saves us from our sins. Now, the mechanics of exactly how that works, it's a bit of a different story, and it's somewhat open to deliberation in terms of how you want to believe the mechanics of that work. But the point is, it saves us from our sins. But why? I just want to throw down some thoughts. God entered into all of our dysfunction, and we see this on most full display leading up to His cross and His passion. We see all sorts of, everything from Pilate, for example, who knows the truth but doesn't act on it, to the Sanhedrin that's so focused on their self and their pride that they are willing to put an innocent man to death, to the people who are sitting there mocking a man as he's dying on a cross, all because of things that he said and claimed to be. We see this all the way until Jesus' last breath. And it's through that process that God battles our sin and endures our sin all the way to death, even death on a cross, as Paul says. And that would make no sense, absolutely no sense, if there was nothing else that happened after it. If Jesus was just another prophet, then we would have just killed another prophet. Man would have just killed another prophet based off their own pride, their own dysfunction, their own disfigurement. And so often we look at our suffering, we look at death, we look at everything, all the challenges that we're going through in life, and we think God's not here. God doesn't exist. He's not around us. He's not among us. God's not a thing, right? And what God came down and why the cross was so necessary too, in one aspect, is God came all the way down to show us that He's present in every aspect of human suffering, human affliction, leading up to death. And that even through all that, even through everything that we could throw at God, He still loves us. And we see that through the resurrection of Christ. Because what does God do? He conquers death. He goes to the deepest, darkest part of human suffering, which is death, and He conquers it by raising Jesus from the dead, showing that death, even death on a cross, has no power over the God of all creation. God's love is so great for us that it can overcome even death. And what does Jesus do? He is the light of the world. He came to illuminate that very, very strong and profound principle through identification with all of our deepest dysfunctions. And that's just one sense in a practical sense. There's a whole other side of this where Jesus comes down to not just share our life with us, and not just to take a diamond that's been stuck in this muck and like raising it out of the muck, but actually elevating the status, communion with God in such a profound way, an intimate way, that actually divinizes our soul and our being, elevates it to a status that we didn't otherwise have, to show again his undying, unconditional love for us. So just some thoughts to reflect on today. Hope you guys have a good Friday. If you haven't already, hit the like button, pound the subscribe button so you can get more of this awesome content. And from all of us here at Practical Theism, talk to you next time.